Freshers with zero experience are getting into six-figure AI jobs, and experienced professionals, they are getting left behind. The difference is knowing how to build AI systems, not just using ChatGPT, but how to build them. I have more than 12 years of experience in top MNCs. And right now, I'm working in the United Kingdom, and I can clearly see a major shift towards AI by 2027. AI engineering is going to be one of the most valuable skills to have. Today, I'm going to show you how I built an AI-powered chatbot using RAG. RAG is the concept that is behind all the enterprise AI systems. Now subscribe and drop your name, what you study or your profession, and from which state or country you are from into the comments section, because I am going to personally invite 3 of you from the comment section to guide you on your AI career journey completely free. Let's get started. So first, let's see what we are going to build today. So we are going to build an AI-powered chatbot using RAG framework. RAG stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. So what it is doing, it is reading some stuffs from a private data store, and it is getting responses from that using some LLM. So let me ask this chatbot something. Let's say, who is Mira? You do not need to know the answer because it's coming from my private data, but let's see how the chatbot is reacting. So you can see that it is getting me the answer and it's giving me the correct answer because I know what data I have pushed to this RAG system. But I will covering all this in a very detailed manner, but just understand that this is what we are going to build by end of this session. Before I explain how I built this AI chatbot, let's first understand how tools like ChatGPT, Claude or Gemini work. They are trained on huge amount of public data like websites, books, Wikipedia, documents and more. When you ask a question, they use that knowledge to generate an answer. But what if a company wants to use private data that cannot be shared publicly and they want to build an AI chatbot or an AI system? That's where RAG comes into the picture. So you can see clearly in the diagram that in the normal LLM workflow, where the LLM is using its existing knowledge base, but on the right hand side, you can see that in the RAG-based AI chatbot, it is doing some internal steps, but I will come to the detailed RAG architecture very soon. But just understand that it's reading data from your provided information or your private data store and it's responding to the user. Let's first understand the RAG architecture in a very simplified manner. So in the screen, you can see that there are 2 pipelines. One is ingestion pipeline and one is query and generation pipeline. So as you have your private data or your custom data, first those needs processing. The first step is chunking, where your data gets splitted into small bits and pieces. The second phase is embedding. Embedding is nothing but when your data gets represented in numerical form, because AI systems understand numerical representations of data. Once embeddings are done, those are stored into a special type of database known as vector database. Now this vector database also allow the semantic searching or similarity searching, where you do not search based on exact keyword, but you search based on meaning. Now, when you ask something to that AI bot, that becomes your user question, which then gets represented into numeric representations, which are known as embeddings. Because these embeddings will now get searched into that vector database where all your data specific embeddings are present. And what it will get the top chunks or top similar results from the vector database, and it will bring those context or those chunks into the prompt builder. This prompt builder is the place where your questions embedding and the related search results embedding will get mixed up, and that will form a prompt, and that will have your question as well as the context in terms of chunks. Now that will be pushed to a LLM for its intelligence, and it will answer from that contextual knowledge. Now let's understand how I actually built this AI powered chatbot. So I'm using PyCharm, where I have my folder structure. The data is where my data file is there. So I have currently 1 PDF. The vector store is nothing but where my vector database and those embeddings will get stored. And I have 3 Python files: ingest, rag, and app. I also have a .env variable, which is nothing but to connect to different models or to different platforms, I need some API keys, right? So in the .environment file, you can securely keep your API file, and you can call .env to actually load that API key into your environment. Before diving into the code, let me quickly explain the main frameworks and tools I used to build the system. First, I used LangChain. Think LangChain as a framework that helps us build AI applications and connect different components together. For example, it helps us connect our documents, embeddings, and vector database and large language model into one working pipeline. Second, I used Hugging Face. You can think Hugging Face as a platform or repository where we can access pre-trained AI models. So this is nothing but a store sort of thing where you can go and you can use open source models for your usage. And third, I am using Groq. Groq provides access to powerful large language models which act as the intelligence layer of the chatbot. In simple terms, this is the part that actually generates answers and understands the context of the user's question. So to summarize, LangChain helps us build the workflow, Hugging Face provides embedding models, and Groq powers the intelligence of the chatbot. So using Groq, you can use very powerful LLMs which will not run on your local machine but on Groq's cloud plan. So you can see that I have imported the related package. As I mentioned that I am using LangChain. Hugging Face, I have Hugging Face embeddings I have already imported. Similarly, the vector database, I'm using Chroma as the vector database. I'm also using PyPDF loader, which will process my PDFs, which will load my PDF files basically. And you can see this load.env, which is nothing but loading my API keys to the environment. This globe will be helping me to read through the PDF files and to a specific directory how many PDF files are there to detect them. And OS will be using just to get the path of those files. So using PyPDF loader file, we are loading the PDF file and we are getting all the pages extracted. So you can see that this pages is nothing but a list which holds all the pages of the PDF file. The next phase is chunking. So this PDF data will be now chunked. So I am using recursive character text splitter to chunk these documents. Now my chunk size is 800. This is characters. It will be roughly 120 to 150 words, and the overlap is 100. Why I am using overlap? Because I do not want any context to get lost. Because what this piece of code or this chunking is doing is that my document gets splitted into small bits. Now what happens that if there is a split in between the paragraph or in between sentence, so the AI systems will lose the context, because if a sentence starts from the middle line, then it will lose the previous context. So I am keeping an overlap of 100 characters. The separators will denote like how I am using this split. So first it will try to identify the double lines, which is the paragraph, then the single space lines, then the periods, which is full stop, then space bars. So that's how the splitting will work. Okay, now for embeddings, what am I using? I'm using Hugging Face embeddings. This is the store which I mentioned where I can get the open source models. So I'm using the model called All Mini LM L6 V2. Now to store these embeddings, I need a vector database. So I am using Chroma. So what Chroma is doing here, it's calling the from documents function and it's passing the chunks which I have generated in the earlier steps and the embeddings, and it is saying that in which vector path I am going to store these embeddings. I have run this ingest file and you can see that the name of the folder was story_db. So all my embeddings are stored now. You can see that's chroma.sqlite3. So my ingestion part is completed. This rag file is now the heart of this AI system. So I am again using the same packages to import. And you can see that I'm using the same embedding model because it's very important to ensure that you are using the same embedding model which you use to convert your chunks into embeddings. The same model should be used to convert the user questions or queries to convert it into embeddings. Now I am creating an object by calling my vector DB, which is the ChromaDB. Here I'm passing two parameters, which is persist directory and embedding function. Now this is basically the path where all my embeddings are stored, and I am using the embedding model, which is the same model which I will again use to convert the user question into embedding. Now I'm using this vector store object and I will use as_retriever function where I will mention like what sort of searching I would want to do against this vector DB. So I will take a very famous method which is the similarity search, right? And how many top records I will fetch, which is the argument I am passing, which is the 6. Like, so basically the user question will be converted into embedding. It will get searched against this vector database and it will tell me like based on that similarity search, give me the top 6 chunks. Now here I am building the prompt where I am taking the context, which are nothing but the sent chunks from the vector DB or the top 6 chunks and the user question. And with this, you can see that I am building a prompt where I am mentioning all the important stuffs, that not to make up any answers if it doesn't know, just to clearly say that it does not know. Okay, and I'm passing all the contexts that which I have received from the vector database and the user question in terms of embedding. Now this is the block where when I get the user question, it gets searched within the ChromaDB, okay, and it finds the top records. Okay, it could be 3, it could be 6 based on your assigned value. Once those chunks come, I'm just like merging all those chunks and creating the context. Okay, once that context is ready, what I'm doing, I am basically building the prompt and passing both the context and the user question. That's how into that prompt builder we have the question as well as the context. Now Groq comes into the picture. So Groq is the cloud-based platform where we can leverage very powerful LLMs, right? So I am using Llama 3.3 70B. Like it's a very powerful model. But for that, first I need to create a connection. I need to establish that connection by providing my Groq API key. If you are not sure how to create this API key, you need to sign up in the Groq platform, which I can show. Like if you just go to the Groq platform and if you go to the API keys, you can create your API key from here, and that you can use into your Python file. Now using this Llama model, I want to generate the response because I'm already passing the context and the question, right, to this LLM, and I'm setting the temperature as 0.2, which denotes that do not add randomness. So if you want to generate something very creative in nature, then you can increase the temperature. That will add randomness. But here in this case, I want the LLM to be very specific. And I also want to limit the tokens to 124 because there is a cost associated with the token. Here you can see that I am also passing the role as user. So that's where I'm telling the LLM that you are communicating with an user or actual human, and the content would be the prompt, what will be coming from the user question and the context. Now this response is coming in a JSON format. So I am using this JSON output, and I'm using the relevant output, which is just the message content I want. So I am fetching that and I'm returning the AI answer, and what are the source systems which help the AI or the LLM to generate that response. I'm also passing those document snaps or the metadata about them. Now this is the main block where there is an infinite loop, like until and unless user is typing quit or until it is asking a question, it will ask the user to paste something or to ask something, and once user types something in, it will invoke all the methods we have written, which is the ask, and from there the prompt will be built, then the similarity search will get invoked and your generated output will come. Now I have run this file, and as you can see, it's prompting me to ask a question. But before I show you what I am going to ask, let me first show you the content which I processed. So here is a PDF file called The Star, Seat and the Cloud Castle. It is a fantasy story about a girl named Mira and her magical journey. This is the document that I processed and added into my AI system. Now, since the chatbot has already processed this document, I should be able to ask questions related to the story and get relevant answers. For example, let's look at one line here. You can see here it mentions a tiny fox with silver fur. So now let's ask the question, what was the color of the fur of the fox? Now see what it is doing. It is returning these 6 chunks. Page 1, 2, 1, 2 and 1, 4. So these are all different snippets of those pages, and it is generating the answer that the color of the fur of the fox was silver. See, that's how it is using my chunked documents and the embeddings to generate the right answer. Now let's ask something which is not there in that document, so that the chatbot should not give me hallucinated wrong answers, right? So I know that the name of Mira's father was not there in that document. So let's ask that question. The detail is not covered in the provided story. So if it doesn't know, it clearly calls that out. Now to make this chatbot look more user-friendly, I also built a UI application using Streamlit. So this is not the actual AI logic itself. Think of it as the front end or interface layer. The AI system is still running in the back end, but the UI gives it a cleaner and more interactive look and feel. Also, if you want, I can share all 3 files with you, including the ingest pipeline, the chatbot logic and the UI file. Just drop a comment in the YouTube comment section and let me know. Now, if I run this UI, you can see this page pops up. I can directly ask questions here in this UI. Behind the scenes, it is still connected to the same AI chatbot and should return the same answers based on the process document. Let's test it with an example. Let's say if I ask, what is the name of the main character girl in this story? Now we all know that it's Mira. See whether it's able to provide me the right answer? Yes, you can see that it's working as expected. What is the name of Mira's father? It should not be giving me any answers. It should ideally say that, yeah, the details is not covered in the provided story. So it's behaving absolutely fine. And that's it. That's the AI chatbot. I hope you have enjoyed today's video. If you have done so, please give a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Thank you. Stay tuned for the next video.